Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, Mr. Puccio.
Present.
Mr. Williams.
Present.
Mr. Coates.
Present.
Mr. Dragon is absent. Supervisor Monahan.
Present. Good evening. Okay, I got a couple quick things for my supervisor's report. Tonight we do present the tentative budget to the town clerk, presents it to the town board, and then later on we'll be setting a public hearing. I believe that's going to be on October 24th, but that hasn't been passed yet. Currently right now it's with a budget. It's always a work in progress. We don't have all the numbers in. Currently we're comfortably under the tax cap. I know I speak with the other town supervisors and the challenges there as it gets harder every year. I know we've had, in this tentative budget, we have increased funding for our ambulance corps, significant increase. We also have almost a mandatory increase for our Rockland paramedic service. That went up about 14%. Always a challenge, but we'll get to that as it develops. We haven't yet received the Wayne Holtz Fire Department is a district. They'll be submitting their budget. We don't, the town board does not approve their budget. They have commissioners that are elected and they approve their budget. But we did have an estimate, it'd probably be a 2% increase is probably what we're looking at but that's only tentative. A couple quick things. This Saturday is the Fall Festival from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Hosted by the Stony Point Athletic League and the town of Stony Point. It's from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Kirkbride Hall. If you've never attended, come out. It's a great event for family, children. There's a zip line, inflatables, bumper cars, games. It's fun for the whole family. There's music. Come out. There's vendors under the tent, and it's always kicks off our fall festival. It's always a great family day. And then coming up, I want to thank the Stony Point PBA. Annually, they hold a picnic for our veterans. Our veterans invited to that picnic on Saturday, October 8th, from noon to 4 p.m. It's their 12th annual Veterans Appreciation Picnic. And that, again, is going to be on Saturday, October 8th, from 12 to 4 p.m. at our Clark Park. Madam Clerk, have you presented the tentative budget?
Yes, I have.
Okay, all members have received that. Next we have the purchase order request.
I'll make a motion for the purchase order request.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
I'll make a motion for the Audit of Bills.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the September 12th, 2023 meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All correspondence? Okay, at this time I'd like to open it for public input, which is limited to 3 minutes. First up, we have Pete Riley.
Good evening, Pete Riley, 1 Tomkins Road, Tomkins Cove, New York. I have one comment and 2 questions. I've been on several boards in my career, and I've been coming here pretty regularly, not every week. And not once that I've been here in all these meetings that I've attended the past few years have I heard a real discussion about an issue among the board members. I've never heard a board member question why we're doing this, or why are we not doing that. Or I've never heard a board member ask, is there a downside to doing something? Do we have the funds to do it? Should we take this out of capital funds, or should we bond it? I've never heard a board member say, maybe we should rethink something, or do we really need to cut this or cut that? I've never heard a board member say, I don't agree. I can't really remember a vote that wasn't unanimous. That may have happened. I haven't been at every meeting. And all this indicates to me is that there are some important discussions happening and decisions being made, not in public. Obviously, I can't prove it, and that's not the point. But I don't understand how a board can operate and in making many decisions that you make on a monthly basis without asking some questions, especially new board members coming on, like, what does this mean, that kind of thing. So just in the last few months, you've approved a zoning board member, you hired a pro shop employee, a part-time officer, you hired a resolution regarding the opposing tax law in relation to telecommunications and others. And all without any real discussion in public. On occasion, Jim, you'll come out and you'll explain why you're going to make a decision or why the decision was made, but there's no discussion. And one of the main purposes of the open meeting law is to prevent government officials from having discussions and making decisions behind the scenes out of sight of the public. It's supposed to allow the public to participate in the decision-making process and provide input. But the way these meetings are run, you don't allow input on important issues on a regular basis. So I'm disappointed in the way it's run. I understand that it's easier to run it that way. It's less messy. You just get it done what you want to get done. But it leaves the public at arm's length. Now my two questions. Have you updated the zoning law that allowed 111 South Liberty to build the 4 stories? I understand it wasn't meant to be that when it was first drafted. Has the zoning regulation been updated so that wouldn't happen again? And has the wording of the regulations regarding that?
I just give you a little feedback on that.
Sure.
When you have a developer who's already submitted plans, I don't think legally at this point. I think you're aware what happened there. I know that space was on the committee when they changed the zoning to allow that type of development. It was, in fact, it was led by several Stony Point Democrats who thought at that time it would be a way to revitalize the Liberty Drive corridor. One of the things this board has always done is continually to look at our zoning, and if there's legal opportunity to change that, I'm sure you can. But I'll give a perfect example. If you came in and you said, I bought 5 acres of property and I want to develop it, I couldn't at that point say, after you submitted, okay, we're going to change. So when the opportunity, but one thing I'm very sure of, we have on the boards, on both the planning, the zoning, they're made up of Stony Point residents who care. They take their job very serious, and I'm sure they will follow. They're doing due diligence. I can assure you they're not pushing anything through. They've continued the hearings open a long time, and I think they're doing exactly as good government should do, and hopefully we'll have a ruling on that, and then we'll look at all opportunities. Thank you.
I'm not asking to change the rules for these guys, but for the future. And also,
well, that's definitely something this board will look at the appropriate time. But good question, and I was glad to answer it for you.
and then the other quick question on that is there was an interpretation that rooftops and private balconies can be used as recreational space.
As you know, the planning board and the town board by law are separate and distinct. So I can't comment on specific, you're asking a specific, that's before the planning board. Anyway, thank you, I appreciate your input, your time is up.
Okay, just one other question. Does the last meeting you said that there was, you were going to put forward for Letchworth, any developer that came in, that you were going to allow the public to vote on that project? And I appreciate that. But does that mean that you're selling, that you're marketing?
No, there's nobody, it's not listed for sale, marketing. I think this board feels that The property is yours. It's the residents of Stony Point own that property, and we've learned, let the voice of the people decide. So if there becomes, it's not actively marketed, if there becomes, and we kind of know, I talk to people all the time. I had a school math teacher contact me with some great ideas for the property. And if sometime one of these great ideas come to fruition, we're going to put it out to the board. That's what group government does. Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
ELLIE KASSNER?
Good evening, everyone. Not that tall. Can you hear me? Good evening. It's always good to see you. Can you hear me? Is that better?
We can.
Oh, excuse me. 9 West Shore Drive, Tomkins Cove. I have a number of things that I just wanted to bring up. They're more procedural and some questions. The first thing, and I do understand that the planning board and zoning board are separate entities, but there have been a number of very last minute changes to the agenda. And it's hard for families to plan around, for people to be able to come and attend. I understand that things change and they're fluid. If someone's not there to present, how can you say it's still going to happen on that agenda? But it is a major issue for people who are trying to be engaged. And I have to say that when given without reason a cancellation, it feels like being, I don't know how else to say it, but jerked around on our end.
You're 100% right. I feel your frustration. In fact, I was very frustrated. I said, you're kidding me, again? And I've seen it happen on many projects. I was so frustrated, I reached out to not only our building department, I reached out to our legal counsel, and I said, if they're not prepared, have it anyway. And I was advised, and I can't specifically, but I was advised that you can't do that by procedural law. If you were doing on your business, you wanted to do an addition, and you were coming before the planning board, and you were coming to with your attorneys to present, unfortunately, on the last minute, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating to people who, like you said, who make plans. Your attorney could notify the board, we're not going to attend the hearing, and the board wouldn't be allowed to present without you or your attorney here to move forward. So it is very frustrating.
Well, I understand that. I will say when it is on the agenda and people make a plan and come, and then it's taken off the agenda last minute, I don't know how it's going to be.
They do that all the time.
I'm just going to say, how can, what is it going to be? For real this time we're going to find out they're actually going to be there.
Yeah.
Anyways,
That's definitely frustrating, because it's frustrating to myself and even the board. It happens all the time.
Moving on, I was hoping that I could obtain a copy of the bylaws for both the planning board, the town board, and the zoning board. There has to be rules and procedures, how everyone runs, and I had some questions about how the candidates for the planning board and zoning board are, how the open positions are announced, how the candidates are vetted, and then how they're chosen in the end. I had the chance to review the budget that we discussed a couple of meetings ago. Again, I'm switching gears.
You're coming to your 3 minutes, so you could wrap it up.
I'm sorry, but I can't hear that. The budget, one thing that was announced was that we had 8 minutes in saving, 8 million in savings. And when our overall budget was 19 and then came down to 17, is it normal to keep half a year's budget in savings for the annual?
Ellie, if I told you all the things that we face in the future, I'm very proud of this town board, how prepared they are for the future. I mentioned it briefly, our ambulance corps. They built a building that has financial implications. I think we had passed a resolution, the board, years ago, to maintain 20%. This board has done a great job. You listened, you were here. I don't know, were you here when the auditors, the independent auditors gave which gave an outstanding financial picture, and they actually independently said what we're doing is the way it should be done. So I'm proud of that. I remember when I first got on the town board, it was borrowing for things that they didn't have money for. I kind of always ran the town like I ran my home. I plan to finance and be prepared for the future. The State Controller's Office just announced that they're anticipating $9 billion deficit in our state government. It's happening in Albany. If that don't scare you for your children, your grandchildren, I think you have to be prepared. But anyway, thank you for your input.
Okay, and then I did want to say that a number of times I've tried to address this individually so that it wouldn't be on
Just
record.
wrap up. Your time.
I'm sorry, but are you including your rebuttals to me in my timing?
No, you asked me a question, and I gave you plenty of time. You know what it is? I have to be fair to everybody. I can't, as much as I'd love to hear what you have to say, I can't, because I like you, let you continue to talk. It has to be rules for everybody.
I came here tonight as another thing to have on the record is that individually I have come up after a number of meetings to discuss the way that the board communicates with the public. This is our part of public input, being able to come here and be heard. Being attacked, and not in the way of what you just said, that's not, totally not. Of course, I understand what you're saying about the time frame, but I disagree with the time frame categorically. But anyways, when you, at your role, call out political parties and say that was them who did it, or this who did that, whether someone voted for you or not, we still are your constituents, and it shouldn't be discounted anyone's opinion just because they're not of your political party. So to
I
call
don't,
that out and
but
put that on
I
record.
do state the facts. Thank you. Have a nice evening. DIEDRA O'CONNER.
And I'm in Victoria.
Good evening, Deirdre. Just state your name and address for the record.
Sure, DIEDRA O'CONNER, Cross Creek Lane, Stony Point. First, thank you, because I know how difficult these jobs are, and you hear more negative and what you can do better and what you should do better than the things you are doing. So I do appreciate that and all the things that you continue to do to represent Stony Point, knowing that your intentions are always in a good place for the constituents that are here. So one of the things I just want to continue talking about, and that I've discussed with various boards and some of you individually, is just the collective responsibility and the individual responsibility to have a current and updated comprehensive strategic plan created collaboratively with the school superintendent, police, fire chiefs, town boards, lawyers, engineers, directors of infrastructure, environmental protection, health and safety, emergency management services, sanitation, public health, transportation, highway maintenance, natural resources, recreation services, facilities, state and federal agencies with public input. Also, that the long and short-term goals and recommendations be progress monitored and reviewed for implementation of these goals by the Strategic Comprehensive Planning Committee throughout the year, while also addressing where unfamiliar and unforeseen barriers have interfered with the progress towards the long and short-term goals, such as COVID, pandemics, flooding, and storms. You did mention how there's a comprehensive plan in place. I would like to see it done a little more comprehensively, but that the zoning has permitted something that is no longer good or effective and can do actually damage to our communities in the sense of funding and environment and all these other aspects. The only way to change that is through the comprehensive strategic planning. So it's certainly an opportunity to be able to do that and to work towards that. The next point that I would like to mention is if we could have Zoom meetings, just for people who work at night, the night shift, working parents and disabled. And I know there's a requirement of signing in at 7, and I respect the rules, so certainly, if it doesn't work and I miss it, that's my own fault. But at the same time, if we could change that so that everyone, if they do arrive within 10 minutes of a meeting, perhaps, they're still able because of those who take care of children and other needs. That's pretty much what I have to share, and thank you.
Thanks, Deirdre.
Thank you.
So I just want to comment, because I've heard this information here. I remember somebody would said that they do a comprehensive plan in 30 days. Last one took, Madam Clerk, do you remember how many years it was?
No, we've discussed it, but it was
Over.
2007 to 2013.
Yeah, it was like 5 years it took. So one of the things, you know, I never plan on being around here forever, and I like to see things get done. So, you know, 10 years ago when they did that plan, when they updated it, there's definitely things that have changed. One of the things that the town board has done, we did a comprehensive zone change 3 years ago now. Looking at, that's something that you would be able to do swiftly. We also did a river and rail proposal, and which has already brought in a large business that'll be paying taxes. So I know exactly what you're saying. A comprehensive plan is something I'm looking into. I met with the county. There's actually possible funding for it. One of the things that is going to, I have our town engineer looking at, if there's going to be a new plan, it's going to be a while before it gets completed. One of the things you have to look at now, we see the climate change. We see with flood mitigation. That's a large challenge where you're going to have to invest a lot of money, bring in experts. Right now, there's possibly, I'm working on it for funding for that. So we'll keep you posted as it goes along. But I just want you to know, you know, it wasn't 30 years ago. I saw somebody put that information out. It was 10 years. And in that 10 years, I can assure there's been at least 3 what I would call major changes, upgrades. So I think that's a positive for the town. But thank you, Deirdre. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to accept the 2024 tentative budget.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for the 2024 preliminary budget at our October 24th town board meeting here in this building at 7 p.m.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for a sewer extension at Woodrum Ridge for October 24th, 7 p.m. here at this meeting room.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I'll make a motion to approve the hire for the cart range for Patriot Hills Golf Club.
Second.
And that's one employee and with the starting salary of $14.20. And so what happens a lot, our summer help, they go off to college and we have to rehire as we have spots available. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And I'll make a motion to approve the donation for the North Rockland Youth Football.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters with our police department.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And you're welcome to stay for when we come out. You just have to leave the room until we come back from executive session.
Will there be votes after?
Could be. Never know. Ellie, I don't anticipate it, but sometimes we get new information, advice from the attorney, so it's always possible. You're welcome to come back in. I'll go outside and invite everybody back in like I always do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.